last week there was that tomato soup picture portrait by Jonathan Yeo of King Charles, massive red with a face peering out. Marvellous, apparently. It looked a bit weird to me. Anyway, there's a portrait of Kate Middleton out today that makes that portrait of King Charles look like a masterpiece. Anyway, it's by the British-Zambian artist Hannah Uzor. It's on the front page of the Tatler. It's apparently to celebrate Kate's strength and dignity, and was inspired by her first state banquet of the King's reign. Well, first of all, let's get the People's Art critic on, Estelle Lovett, who was kind enough to review the Charles portrait last week. She's in the frame again. Welcome, Estelle.
Thank you.
Right, let's have a look at the portrait on the front page of the Tatler right now of Kate, Princess of Wales. Let's have a look. Can we get closer? Because it's the face that's terrible. Any chance of getting face closer? Well, listen, you've seen it. We'll get a close-up of that and come back to you. But, I mean, from where I'm looking, it's all right. But the face looks like some sort of kid has drawn it.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because you talked about the Red King, and now we've got the Blue Princess, and you're right. It does make the Jonathan Yeo portrait seem, the likeness rather of King Charles is great when you compare it to this one. But what makes a great portrait? What is a good portrait? Obviously, the artist does have freedom of creative expression of their ideas and of their emotions, but presumably a portrait is meant to capture something of the person. Now, the artist, you're quite right. Portrait painter. She studies at the Slade, which is London's most highly respected art school, where all the great artists have trained. And she actually did a really nice portrait of Queen Victoria's African goddaughter back in 2020, which was to highlight the historical figures of the African diaspora who had played a part in English history.
Yeah, but you digress, Estelle.
Yes,
But listen,
okay, but
look, we've got a close up
look,
of the face here now,
yeah,
and
it's not.
the problem is that face doesn't look anything like Kate, Princess of Wales's face.
Right. So it's compositionally, technically, the palette, the tonal values, it's not a bad painting, but it's not a good likeness. That's the problem. Is there any artistic quality to it? Yes, but it's very plain. It's indifferent. It's undistinguished. It's not particularly flattering, and it's nothing like her facially. But there's a place for images like this too. In the States, that there's the Museum of Bad Art, and Oscar Wilde said all art
It's there.
is
I
quite
want to
beautiful.
go there.
Yeah. But if you think about Constable as well, great landscapist, but an awful portrait
Yeah.
painter.
But why would a portrait painter in this case get the face so wrong? I mean, isn't that the skill of an artist to get a likeness going? This is not a likeness. This is just another person wearing a tiara with dark hair. It doesn't even look like her hair, by the way, and a face that's nothing like. They must have been aware. The artist must have said, I haven't got that face right, have I? I mean, that's
You think so?
ridiculous.
You'd think so, yes, because obviously capturing the likeness of a face is all about looking at the relationship between the features. But I don't know if you remember the one of the early portraits of Catherine, head and shoulders, with a rather strange nose. You might be able to get it up, your
Uh,
team, by Paul Emsley. And then there was the Jamie Corrith
yeah.
portrait of her and William when she was wearing the green dress, and they looked elongated like
Okay.
stick
Okay.
figures.
Yeah, I doubt if we'll be able to get them up with our time restraints, but we'll take a look afterwards. But what is it about the Royals that seems to sort of bring about these awful portraits? And surely the people who paint them, they know what they're doing. I mean, when you paint a portrait of a member of the British royal family, it's not like it's going to go straight into obscurity. Millions of people will see it. So this is not very good, isn't it?
No, and it even goes beyond being subjective and objective, and our anticipation of what a good portrait will be. And we can argue about that. And that's one of the great things about having a bad portrait, is that I particularly welcome the public dialogue about it. But it's for anyone, just not for everyone. And I'm afraid it's not for me, but I do love the colors. I love
Yeah,
the
yeah,
palette. But
I get that, but it's just not Kate, is it? Listen,
no.
Estelle, another great review. We've got to move on because it's the end of the show. Estelle Lovett there, the People's Art Critic.